Start lah. Okay, I will call up my file first. Okay, wait. Okay, I need to share screen.
Lydia, who's the other lady in the center?
Okay, you all can see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So happy to see all of you to know about our HDB policy. So basically today we focus more on the housing senior. Okay, so I will just take about 10 minutes to go through all the basic things. Then after that, the rest of the time I will open to all of you all to discuss what's your scenario, what happened, whether you can buy or can't buy. Then if you have recent transacted experience, then feel free to share with us. Okay, so today we are more on the focus on the options for and strategy for the senior. So basically, there are quite a few schemes in HDB policy. So there's public scheme, and of course today I want to focus more on the silver housing bonus as well as a lease buyback. Okay, because as senior, you know that when you have your HDB flat, you can actually monetize your flat when you are growing older. Take for example, at the age of 26, when I first got married, I buy my matrimonial flat HDB, and usually HDB you can choose a maximum lease tenure for like 20, 25 years or 20 years. So let's say if I start at the age of 25 after I got married and I buy my first house, by the time when I reach 55, I almost finished paying off my loan already, unless something happened. So in this case, as senior, as you are aging towards 60, 50s, you have to start planning, how are you going to manage your house? Am I going to buy? Am I going to sell? For example, if my children, take for example myself, if my two kids are already grown up, I used to own a jumbo flat because I have two pair of parents that stay with me, my in-law and my own parents. So a jumbo flat is good because I also have a maid. But later, when my children grown up, they got married and all this, do I still need such a big flat? And by the time maybe if I gonna retrench, I do not get the salary as much as I have when I was younger. So can I make use of my HDB flat to monetize it to get income? So these are the topics that we probably will cover. Take for example, in HDB, there are quite a few of scheme, but most of the scheme is applies to both senior and also the young couples. Okay, take for example, public scheme. So if you are talking about a public scheme, public rental scheme, I will not go too much because this is more for low income people. For example, how do you justify whether the person have low income or high income? The government will look at your household income. So for example, these are for people who can't afford to even rent a public housing outside. Then under the public scheme, you can actually go to the government and say that I want to rent a 2-room flat or 1-room flat. So this is also available for senior, and your income make sure is not more than 1,500. So the government want to take care of us, but at the same time, it's not easy to qualify to get into a public scheme. So your household income, it could be two single or maybe you and your spouse, have to prove the government that you earn less than 1,500, 1,500 and below, then you can actually rent. Okay, so the next thing, for example, silver housing bonus and lease buyback. This is one of the two schemes that is very common nowadays for senior. Let me touch on the silver housing bonus. Silver housing bonus is actually helping the senior. For example, I'm already 55. As I say, my children had grown up already. I have a big house. So basically, it's big house change small house. Silver housing bonus, the government is encouraging you to right size to the right housing. So for example, jumbo flat, my parents, let's say, is no longer staying with me. One of my parents passed away. My children are already married. I do not need a maid. So from a jumbo, I can actually downsize to 3-room flat because Why 3-room flat? Because for silver housing bonus, you can downsize to 3-room or smaller in order for you to get the bonus. And what will happen is when you have this silver housing bonus, the government will look at your sales proceed. From the sales proceed, they will actually top up your retirement sum. So far, anyone have any question regarding they call it full retirement sum? As you know that the moment you reach age 55, you'll receive email from the government and says that we probably going to lock up your money, because if you're Singaporean, you probably know that age 55, your money will be locked up. So that at the age of 65, the government will slowly release money for your retirement. So as today, if you are turning age 55, 10 years ago or now, as in January, the full retirement sum is different. Take for example, if you turn 55 in January 2021, your full retirement sum is 186,000. So take for example, if you sell your house and the government will look into your sales proceed. If your sales proceed is enough to cover and top up your full retirement sum, then after you sell your big house, then they take the sales proceed, okay, top up your retirement sum before you buy your smaller flat. Then after topping up, you can actually draw up 100,000, the cash. So from there, with the silver housing bonus, give me a moment. Okay, because silver housing bonus, you have to be at least 55 and above, then you can buy. So after you have sell your big house, then you shift to the small house. The objective is so that your house is being monetized, and at the same time, with the sales proceed, they will top up to your full retirement sum. So the money will be locked up, and then we'll buy CPF Life. So CPF Life now is actually a must. If you are born in 1958 and after, the money sales proceed that top up your CPF Life, it will start releasing the money at the age of 65. So based on the amount that you have put into your full retirement sum, then every month you'll receive a sum of money, and depends on how much you have. Okay, so this is what they call topping up your full retirement sum. Because after you reach age 55, automatically the government will straight away create a retirement sum account, RA they call it. So all the money will go in. So be very careful before you want to sell your house. You no longer can touch your retirement sum anymore. So last year onwards, actually in 2020 February, after you sell your house and then you actually want to buy your second house, you're allowed to use your retirement sum, use up to your retirement sum to buy your next house. But from last year, July onwards, anyone want to use the retirement sum to buy your next house, you have to seek approval. So that's why I have to subject to assessment. So you have to take into consideration before you sell. So this is what I'm talking about. Big house, sell small house, you can actually apply for silver housing bonus. Okay, the other scheme is called lease buyback. Okay, lease buyback is quite simple, but to me personally, if I can afford not to use lease buyback, I will try to avoid this scheme. You know why? Compared to silver housing bonus, at least you have the liberty to keep your house. You buy the big house, you actually downgrade to a smaller house, you have money to come in at the age of 65, but at the same time, you have control over to your HDB flat. But lease buyback is a scheme where you totally have no retirement sum in your investment, in your RA account. So lease buyback is one disadvantage of lease buyback is you are selling the tail end of your lease, HDB lease, to the government. So, but lease buyback, you have to be at least 65 before you can actually go into lease buyback. So lease buyback, for example, I have a 4-room flat. I would want to monetize my lease buyback. One advantage is the government allow you to continue staying in your 4-room flat, but at the same time, they calculate in such a way that you have enough lease to last you until your age 95. And then the remainder of the lease, you can sell it back to HDB. So with that sales proceed, they will calculate the number of years, how much is for the cash, they call it the market value of the tail end. For example, you have 20 years to sell to the government. So they use this sales proceed again to top up your retirement sum. And then after that is enough, they will buy CPF Life for your annuity. Then every year, every month you will receive your money income. This is good for people who probably no job, very old, and not much CPF. So you can use lease buyback. But one disadvantage is the moment you have applied lease buyback, you have lost control totally of your HDB flat. So you have to see what's your situation, whether is that viable for you. Like for me, if I can afford and I have CPF, I think I will not use lease buyback. Because the moment you have applied lease buyback, everything is done, is approved, you have lost control over your right of the HDB. You can't sell the HDB anymore. You can't rent out the whole flat. The only thing that you can do is, for example, you still have a 4-room flat, you're allowed to stay until you're age 95, and at the same time, you receive some money every month. At the same time, if you have spare room, you can rent out, but you can't sell your HDB, you can't rent out the whole flat. Okay, so these are the two schemes the government have been actually encouraging the senior can look into this if you want to monetize your HDB flat. All right, any questions so far for these two schemes? No question? Then I'll go through the next one. Then at the end, we can discuss different scenario. Okay. Okay, these are all the priority schemes that are available for the general public. But I highlight these two, the two options called the 2-room flexi and community care apartment. Okay, this particular two scheme is quite new, recent for the recent months, especially for the community care apartment. Now, community care apartment is actually recently launched. I think some of you have went to the HDB, you will see how this works. And the first pilot program is at Bukit Batok, very near where Chan stay and Dolly. Yeah. So this two is quite good because community care apartment actually is good for senior. For example, you want to age alone, but at the same time, you would like to have certain medical services given. So what happened is this one, you can actually use your CPF to buy. But one thing about community care apartment, you have to fully pay. You can't use, okay, so there are two portions. One is the basic plan, which is the house component. The other one is actually called the basic component, where they take care of your medical needs. Take, for example, if you stay in a community apartment, you have to constantly choose one of the package. So this community care apartment, one of the minimum criteria, you must be 65. Then you can buy this package. What is good about this is they will take care of your medical needs. For example, every month, like my mother need to have certain high blood pressure medication. There is I think there's the general office where they work with the Minister of Health, where they make sure that all your medical requirement is being delivered to your doorstep. So this is one of the things that is good, but you have to fully finish paying. And one of the things is you cannot rent it out, neither can you sell the apartment. If you no longer need it anymore, you have to give it back to HDB. Okay, this is one of the options to right size from the big house to the small house. The other one, of course, 2-room flexi. 2-room flexi, the requirement is if you're age 55, you can buy this already. Okay, so these are the two common options that you can choose from. All right, no question? If not, I go to the next one. Yeah. Okay. Let me minimize the screen. Okay, over here. Wait, give me a moment. Okay, now we're talking about some of the options. For example, ownership. Let's say you have no HDB at all. For example, in the situation where you probably currently staying with your friend or family, you may consider want to buy BTO flat, or you can buy resale flat. Okay. And the other one, of course, you buy new private apartment or resale. So we don't touch on these two first. We're talking about the lower end. So if you are 55 and above, or you are 65, you can actually consider like what I mentioned early on, the 2-room flexi or the CCA. So this is actually quite a good option because when you buy your 2-room, and for example, some of you may probably ever own a private apartment. In the past, anyone that have owned a private apartment, you have to wait 30 months. So the benefit of downgrading to a 2-room flexi, there is no need to wait for 30 months. Okay. Subsequently, if you're a first timer, it's good news for you. You still can apply for a BTO flat, or you can buy resale HDB flat. And if you're a first timer or you're buying resale flat, you can actually check with the HDB. You have all kinds of different grants, depending whether you're single or your family or you're staying with the old folk. Okay, so this one we are talking about ownership. You have nothing, you can consider these few options. Okay. Okay. Next one. Now the other options, ownership. That means, for example, currently you already have a HDB flat. And if you're HDB flat, for example, you have 4-room flat or 5-room flat like jumbo, your children have grown up and you prefer to monetize your HDB and see whether you can earn money, you can consider downsizing like what I mentioned early on. So from 4-room flat, 5-room flat, you can actually consider buying a 2-room flat or maybe 3-room flat resale. You can actually get silver housing bonus and top up your RA, then every month you receive your annuity. Subsequently, you can also consider this 2-room flexi as well as the community care apartment. Okay, but you have to take note, if you're owning a HDB flat, currently you're owning a HDB flat, if you want to buy whether you're 2-room flexi or you want to buy your next BTO, because if you're qualified for the second timer, take note that you have to pay resale levy. So later we'll go through more on resale levy, how much you have to pay, how then they can calculate the resale levy. Okay. So the other option is, even though currently you're still staying in HDB flat, you can consider the lease buyback and the rent from outside. Okay, room rental. Okay, another option is, what about if ownership, now you are having a private property, you still can actually downsize to 2-room or HDB flat to enjoy silver housing bonus. But take note, very unlikely, because most of the private property will not be less than 13,000 annual value. Now, how do you know your annual value of your house? You just log into your IRAS. If you have a house, they will show you how much. So let's say if your annual value, your private property is less than 13,000, if you apply BTO flat or 2-room flexi, you still can actually go ahead and apply silver housing bonus and enjoy the bonus at the same time. Okay, no question, then I'll go to the next one. Yeah. Okay. The other one is okay, for private one, you probably want to be you want to know whether you can actually monetize your house also. But there's some of the couple, for example, when they grow older, they have the private house. It's not that they need the money, but they will prefer to stay in a private house. For example, still want to enjoy condo, but they would not want to stay in a big house. So what they do is go into this method called decoupling. So for example, a couple, Mr. and Mrs. A, they have a big private house. They can right size to a smaller private house. So they sell the big house and then buy 2 private. So this is what they call it decoupling, because only if you have sell the one big house, and the objective of buying 2 houses is one for stay, one for rent. So you have to take into consideration that you need to pay the additional buyer's stamp duty. So these are the things that you have to calculate before you think that you can use the money to use your house to monetize, it and earn residual income. at your golden age. Okay, so these are the options that you can actually exercise, all right, for private housing. And for your information, even though that you would want to buy private housing and you want to enjoy certain grant, for example, you have children that stay in the HDB flat, you can also enjoy grant from the government called proximity grant, that you can buy house and then live near your children, then you can get proximity grant within 4 kilometers. So these are all the options that you can think about. Okay. So next one, okay, over here is about public scheme. This one is you can consider public rental scheme. As I mentioned earlier on, this more for people who earn income of less than 1,500. So public scheme, for example, 2 single senior, beside family, 2 single senior also can actually apply for public scheme. As long as you can have 2 combined together, you can actually make use of this particular scheme so that you can get cheaper housing. Okay. Okay. Okay, these are all the eligibility that you can actually download from the HDB website, how you can actually enjoy renting cheaper housing scheme from the government. But again, they have to take into consideration that you need to have 2. Recently, there is a policy comes out in the past, when you want to have this public scheme, the government need you to pair with another one. If you do not have another single, they will not allow you to enjoy this public rental scheme. But now with the new policy, you still can go ahead to apply for public scheme if you're still one person. So while waiting for it, they will try to match you with another single. But they also come up with another scheme that, for example, some single, let's say they are senior, they cannot afford to stay with someone, they need to stay alone. They actually build some public housing that the whole block, let's say on top, the top few floor is used for single. If they can prove that medically they can't stay with another single. Okay, so take note, again, this one is 1,500 per month for household. So if you're talking about 2 single, we are talking about 750, cannot exceed 1,500 per month. That means your income must be very, very low. Okay, not per person, is per household. Okay. Okay, in order for you to enjoy public scheme, because the government try to make housing affordable for the people who are not be able to even rent normal housing outside. So therefore, you have to, they will check you thoroughly, make sure you do not own any private property and have not disposed of any HDB flat in the past like 30 months. Okay, so they will check you thoroughly, and at the same time, in order to enjoy this public rental scheme, they also have to check whether your children, to make sure that if your children can support you with housing, then you cannot apply. They will check your financial status and assess you accordingly before they approve your application. Okay. Okay, the flat types that you can actually rent, this is quite general. For flat types for rental, you can actually take a look at the location where you can actually get all these rental flat. So it's up to 1 room and 2 room. So from here, maybe I can show you some of the map. HDB asks you to go and choose before you apply. Let's say if it's approved, but before that, they will usually ask you to look through the map, which are the area that you want to stay. So the map is very good, quite good, because each click, you're able to tell, for example, Serangoon, which are the block that actually have this rented flat. So this is quite good in a way. You can choose your preferred location. Okay. Let me go back to my. Yeah. Okay, this is about rental flat. Okay, to be eligible, must be 1,500, and then you can see that the rental flat is very, very cheap. as cheap as like one room is between $26 to $33 per month. It's very cheap, right? You can't get anything lower than this, not even backpackers hotel. Okay, but they will have to assess you. So they also assess based on your income. Let's say if you're earning 800 and less, your rental will be this 1 room and 2 room. If your income, household income is between this and this, of course, the government will make you pay more. Okay, so all these are all in the HDB flat. Okay. Okay, this is silver housing bonus. You can actually go to the website and learn more. Now, silver housing bonus, I already told you how it works. Is basically 大屋换小屋, big house, you downsize or resize to a smaller house, and then from the sales proceed, they will top up your retirement account up to 60,000 because to get you into the annuity, in order to buy CPF Life, there must be 60,000 at least to top up your RA. So if you manage to top up to your RA, the sales proceed, then the government will give a cash bonus of 30,000. And this is cash, that means you can use the money to do renovation or use it in any way that you want, because this is cash, not go back to your CPF. Okay, so you get up to 30,000 cash bonus if you are able to top up your RA 60,000. Okay, you can actually downgrade to the smaller from the HDB. Okay, from your private apartment, you can also downgrade to HDB flat. You still can enjoy silver housing bonus if you're selling your private apartment. But your private apartment, as I mentioned earlier, make sure the annual value is not more than 13,000. Okay, but this is very rare because most of the private apartment, unless it's those very old studio or 1-room flat, probably can reach this amount. Okay, so these are all the options that you can consider. Okay. Okay, this is how it works. Silver housing bonus is selling your existing bigger property, buy a smaller HDB flat, and then apply for silver housing bonus. Okay, or you can actually buy first and then sell your existing policy and apply within 1 month, within 1 year for your silver housing bonus. So this is how it works. Okay, next one, silver housing bonus. This is what I mentioned. They will use your sales proceed to top up to your retirement sum 60,000 and go into CPF Life. And then once it's done that, they will give you a cash bonus of 30,000. Okay, so this is how it works. The net proceed, which is selling price, less outstanding loan, less the purchase price of your property. And then, of course, if you are buying this property previously, you have already enjoyed a subsidized flat, they also have to minus out the resale levy before they can actually take a look at your sales proceed and then calculate how much they can start giving you at the age of 65 every month. And this is under CPF Life. And CPF Life is good because once you're on CPF Life, the government will continue to pay you from the age 65 until you hang your IC. That means until you die lah. Okay, understand? Okay, wait, silver housing bonus. Now, lease buyback. Just now I mentioned this is how it works. Lease buyback, you sell your end of remaining lease to HDB and get the stream of retirement income also through CPF Life. Okay, same thing. In order for you to get into this lease buyback, you must at least reach the age of 65, and you must at least have 1 Singaporean in this scheme. If you want to buy use lease buyback, and your money income cannot be more than 14,000, and your house must at least reach a minimum occupation of 5 years. Okay, this is all the requirement. Okay, this is how it works. Sell the tail end of lease, and they use the sales proceed to top up your retirement account, and then you get your lease buyback bonus. After that, the remainder, when they see that you have top up 60,000 to buy CPF Life and receive your annuity from the age 65 onwards until you pass away. Okay, this is how lease buyback, but the disadvantage of lease buyback is you have lost control over your HDB flat compared to silver housing bonus. Okay, this is how it works. There's example here. For example, your current, because just now, remember I told you, let's say if at the age of 25, I have my first HDB flat. If I've taken a 25-year loan, tenure. So by the time when I'm 50 years old, 25 years, I could have finished paying all my loan. So for example, currently my lease, let's say I still 55 years left over my HDB flat. So me and my husband, let's say I'm 65. Remember the requirement is 65 years old. So you have 30 years lease to keep until I age 95. And then the till end from 55 years, you have remainder 55 years, right? You minus 30 years lease that you want to stay. You have 25 years to sell back to the HDB. So from these 25 years, the government will calculate the cash proceed, how much is it, or the market value. From there, they actually come up with a sales proceed and buy, top up your RA and then buy CPF Life. And then every month they'll start giving you money until you die lah. So this is how lease buyback. Okay, so you have a chance to continue staying in your HDB flat, at the same time receive residual income. I mean, income from your CPF Life. And at the same time, let's say that is not enough, you want to continue earning extra income. Let's say you stay in a 4-room flat, you can rent out the room, but not the whole room. You have lost control over your entire house for this buyback. So take note on this. Okay. Okay, this is another example how they actually calculate. Remember 65. For example, if it is a couple, if a single, then you have to top up the whole full retirement sum, 186,000. But if it is a couple that you go into lease buyback, they will look into your sales proceed, and each one have to top up your retirement account. Each one have to top up 93,000 based on the 186, because if you use 186 divided by 2, it's 93,000. So that's how they calculate. So let's say after you have finished topping up your full retirement sum, you can keep the proceed of 100,000 cash you can take. Okay, so this is how it works. Yeah. Okay, for lease buyback, the bonus, that's how they calculate. Remember, you have to top up to 60,000, right, your retirement sum. So after that, you will still receive your lease buyback bonus. So the bonus is like this. If the house that you are selling is 3-room or smaller, you get 30,000. The bigger the room is, the less bonus that you receive. So that's why you see 3-room, you have 30,000, 4-room, you have 15,000, and 5-room, you have 7,500. This is the bonus they're talking about. But take, for example, even after you finish, you have sell your house, you sell your remainder lease, but the sales proceeds still do not enough to top up your retirement account. Okay, less than 60,000, they're prorated. So every $2, based on the 3-room flat, every $2 of CPF top up, the government give you $1. If it is 4-room flat, every $4, they give you $1. So the bigger the house that you have, the less bonus that you receive. Okay, this is quite a complicated one, but not to worry. Before you actually apply for lease buyback, what you need to do is you need to actually get an appointment to meet up with the HDB officer. They will calculate based on how much lease that you can sell back, how much the remainder years you can keep until you're age 95. They explain to you, and they'll tell you how much sales proceed you have, and after that you put into your RA how much annuity that you will have. So they will not straight away, okay, you want, they straight away apply. They will make sure that you have an appointment with them. They give you a full description and give you the breakdown of where you get all this money from and whether you're eligible to even apply for lease buyback. Okay, yeah, this is what I told you, the disadvantage of lease buyback. You cannot sell it in the open market, you cannot rent a full flat. You totally lost control over your HDB flat for lease buyback. All right. Okay, sometimes people will ask the question, Because for whether it's lease buyback or silver housing bonus, you have to make sure that you have the house to stay until your age 95. So a lot of people will ask, what if I outlive the lease? So the government promised that you will not left homeless. So we do not know yet because nobody have actually outlived that number of years, 95. But I always believe that the government will take care of you in terms of renewing the lease, for example, and look at the market situation that will help you. Otherwise, if they don't help you, you probably go to the government for sponsor. So they rather help you to help yourself than to make you homeless. Okay, this is what I can always tell people when they come to question like this. Yeah, because this is actually found in the HDB website. Okay, so next one. Okay, for lease buyback, what happened, for example, if the person pass away, because like, for example, you sell another 30 years to the government and you pass away before that. So what they do is, whatever lease that not used, they actually return it to you or return to your CPF. And if you are having a will or you have they will actually refund it back to your CPF. So from there, but let's say if you are not single, you're staying with a spouse, if you pass away, the spouse or children who are staying there will continue to stay until the lease finish. Okay, so that's what they mean by they will not just leave the widow or the people that go homeless. Okay, wait. So much about lease buyback. These are all the examples to show you how to calculate. Okay, this can be downloaded from the website. If you want, I can actually send you all the picture. Okay, disadvantage, I don't want to go through already. This is what I mentioned early on. Okay, two-room flexi. Two-room flexi, there are two types. Okay, we keep talking about two-room flexi. Usually, if we're talking about senior, I'm referring to the short lease because two-room flexi, you can apply as a senior from age 55 onwards, but you have to buy until you're age 95 because they feel that they actually think that Singaporean in average can live up to like at least age 95. That's why they always use 95 as the standard. Any flat that you buy, whether it is a couple or you're single, you make sure that you can live until age, the lease lasts you until age 95. So that's why when you buy the flexi short lease, it's always in a divisible of 5 years, incremental of 5 years, 15 to 45. Take for example, at the age of 55, that I want to downsize to two-room flexi. So if I'm 55, so I have to buy like 30 years, no, 40 years. Yeah, 40 years plus 55 give me 95. So that is how you actually can calculate based on your age. So you can actually think about the two-room flexi, but one advantage of two-room flexi that you can apply is even if I have already met my 2 times, because you know as a Singaporean, you only to have allowed 2 times to apply directly from a HDB, but for two-room flexi, what I call it, there's no third timer, but I call it third timer. So if I've exceeded 2 times and I want to downsize, I can apply two-room flexi, even though I've already reached the 2 subsidized flat. Okay. Same for, okay, this is what I've explained. Restriction for the two-room flexi, same like the lease buyback. The house cannot be resale to the open market. Neither can you rent out. So that is the restriction. You have to take note. So take for example, if I'm single, for example, I'm at the age of 55, I can buy, even though I can buy two-room flexi, I would think twice because since I'm a first timer, I do not need to just confine to two-room flexi. I will rather buy the single scheme. I will buy the normal 99 years because if I buy the normal 99 years, I have the flexibility, stay 5 years later. If I choose to stay with my friend, I can rent out my whole 2-room. Whereas if I've chosen the 2-room flexi short lease, you cannot. So you have to calculate and think again whether you're first timer or second timer. So all these are the different requirement or different things depending on your situation. So if you are single first timer, even you're 55, I would suggest that you buy the single scheme, because 35 and above, you can buy single scheme, the 99 year, then you have more flexibility over control of your own HDB flat. All right. Okay. So, okay. First timer, okay, 2-room flexi first timer. If you are buying as a first timer, there is a premium charge. So take note on this. HDB flat originally is more for affordable housing for the citizen. For example, if you are buying a 2-room flexi alone, the government will feel that, okay, you are actually occupying space, because HDB flat actually designed more for the family nucleus. So if you are buying a 2-room single, you need to pay additional 15,000. So that's why over here, if you are buying, you need to pay a premium of 15,000 compared to a family who just buy a 2-room. So they do not need to pay the extra. So this is like a premium being charged on people who are buying as a single. Okay. So feel free to ask question later. So I'll just roughly go through, because I have 40 over slide. So second timer, you also can buy 2-room flexi. Whether you are a family member or you can choose 99-year lease or short lease. So senior, usually we are referring to the short lease. Okay. Third timer, this is okay, in the HDB context, there's no third timer. When I say third timer, usually you're talking about the flexi for short lease, senior. Even you have exceeded 2 times, you still can buy the 2-room flexi. This is usually referring to short lease. Okay. Community care, I've already go through. This is the newest apartment for the senior. So for your information, some of them don't like it. They went to the HDB showroom and they say they don't like it. But do you know that the BTO exercise, the 2-room flexi, is 4 times oversubscribed? So because of this, to the HDB, they find that there's a demand. They're going to have more this CCA in the coming BTO. So watch out for that lah. But the price is quite cheap in this location, Bukit Batok. But in future, if they design certain CCA in other area, the price will be various depending on which location they have this CCA apartment. Okay. Okay. Over here, CCA, we are talking about you must be at least age 65, then you can buy. And take note, this CCA will never be the 99 years. It's always based on, you buy based on the package, your age 95. So for example, if you are 65, you definitely have to buy a package of 30 years old to last you until your age 95. Okay, and one beautiful thing about this CCA now, normal circumstances, if you were to buy HDB flat, if you are a private property owner, if you want to buy HDB, you can't. You have to sell your private property and wait for 30 months before you can buy HDB flat. But for CCA, this restriction is taken away. You do not need to wait for 30 months. So if you are buying CCA or the 2-room flexi short lease, this 30 months policy is waived. So you don't need to wait. You can actually buy and then later sell away your private property within 6 months. Okay, so this is exception for these 2 options for the senior. Okay, next, community restriction, I already mentioned, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think if those who have actually gone to the HDB to see the first pilot plan of this CCA, it is designed really senior friendly, because for example, the Bukit Batok, do you know that the CCA, each floor, there is a communal space where people can mingle around each floor. And then they also have designed in such a way that below there's a hawker center. So if you want to go anywhere, it's really very senior friendly. And park connectors, everything is very simple and very convenient. So take for example, you probably stay on the 7th floor. You can mingle with your neighbor on the 7th floor, but one day you find that these are the neighbor that you don't like. You can actually free to go up to 8th floor, 5th floor to know new neighbor, because every floor there is a communal space. Okay. So this is just simply to tell you the first pilot plan. That's how they design the friendly CCA apartment. Is even very near the Bukit Batok Care Home Center, and also within walking distance from the park connectors that senior can do all kind of exercise. So every time when HDB, when they plan for a new kind of apartment or new HDB, they'll make sure that it's accessible between convenient transportation, LRT, HDB, LRT or MRT. Okay. So next. Okay, this is quite a simple combination. Compare the 2-room flexi for the senior. You take a look at the floor plan, you realize it's very spacious, because if you are free, you can go to HDB, book the appointment in advance to take a look at the layout. You can take a look when you come in. You realize that one thing is let off. There isn't any bomb shelter. The kitchen place is very big. The bedroom space is also very big. And it's very easy for people who actually navigate through it. And this is made in the mind that where the senior probably need to be wheelchair bound, so that all this flooring, there is a slight slope that you can actually easily go into the bathroom. And there's a lot of assisted bars for the senior to maneuver around. So this particular apartment is really made for the senior, where in case you are wheelchair bound, you need to access to certain things. That's why it's very spacious. Okay, feel free to go and take a look if you want to. Okay, this is all the basic package. I told you early on for the CCA, when you buy the house, you also have to buy the basic service package. For example, the basic package will take care of your simple needs, activities at the communal space, where they probably get someone go to the communal places. Maybe you have cooking classes, maybe the activity. So, and 24-hour emergency, for example, someone probably suddenly drop dead because there will be some alarm system inside, probably got a heart attack or what happened. Then if they are notified, they have cut access to go into your house and come to your rescue. Okay. And of course, there are other additional services that you want to buy that you have to pay. Like for example, every month, you probably you need people wheelchair you to go for physiotherapy. So you can actually pay for all these additional services based on your needs. So you can actually take a look at the price plan that is actually on the internet. Okay. Community care service. Okay, this is done. Social service, daycare. Okay, pricing. Okay, as I say, the pricing is based on your age 95. So depends on whether you're applying it as a couple. They have to calculate based on the youngest applicant. So let's say if you are 65 and your spouse is 60, they have to calculate that the least have to buy at least your youngest spouse age 95. Then they'll give you the price plan. So this is how they actually calculate. Okay, this is also the community care. Okay, this one example. For example, if you're 65, right, you have to buy a 30-year lease. And this is the flat price, 60,000. You have to pay through CPF or cash. And then the option, the basic package that you have to pay upfront 47,000 to make sure that you are taken care of the emergency service. This is 47,000. And take note, this 47,000 cannot use CPF, have to use cash. Because take for example, they feel that if you are buying the big, selling the big house, the sale proceed is more than enough to cover this. Okay, but for example, you are not willing to part with your money, I don't want to pay one lump sum. So you also can actually choose the flexible plan you pay, for example, a lump sum of 32,000, and then subsequently every month you pay $50 until you're age 55 and continue to enjoy the basic healthcare services. Okay, so this is how they calculate. So $50 until the end of the lease term. Okay, otherwise you pay one lump sum. That's why you have this A plus B. The total is 107,000 when you pay for your house. But if you have no money to one shot paying the 47,000, you use this A, then plus 32,000, then will total give you the 92,000, but you continue to pay $50 until the end of the lease. Okay, done. Optional service, this is what I mentioned. You can take a look what are the care services that you need. 950 Aussie, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people tell me, oh, this is very expensive. Actually, if you add them together, personally, I add them together. If you really need it, it's definitely cheaper than actually nursing home. Like recently, my mother is already 95. Because my maid is not renewing. So my sibling was thinking whether should put her to this care service. And do you know that the cost of this nursing home minimum $3,000 if you are talking about sharing two senior in one room in a nursing home, $3,000 that is not including any medicine. And then they also add in this and that. Can cost you like 8,000 or more. Like for example, if you want to have one room itself, it's 6,000. But of course, you can apply for government assistance, but they need you to actually prove that the beneficiary cannot do three things. Like for example, cannot bathe herself, cannot eat. Then you can apply for 80% of this care service by the government. Okay. So you can actually check through what's the options in future, whether do you really need all this. If not, you can just buy the basic care services that is mandatory. So these are all optional. Okay. So that's about all. Community care service, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so income ceiling, same thing. All Singaporean can apply. First timer, but at least age 65. But your income cannot exceed 14,000. Okay, these are all the criteria. Okay, so that's all. Second timer, you also can. Okay, I will skip this. Okay, that is okay. That's all. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to go through this additional buyer stamp duty. I leave it later when we have discussion. So, okay, that's about all. Yep, I'm done. So we have any question, maybe we can discuss. Yeah, let me stop sharing first. Okay, I've done. Any question? Or I think I don't close the presentation in case you want me to refer back. Okay, any question from your side?
Yeah, Jasmine, can I ask you a question? Jenny here. So PR cannot apply community care apartment?
Yeah, you can't. You cannot.
Only Singaporean, huh?
Yes,
okay,
only Singaporean.
Understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Any question? Actually, in general, for Singapore permanent resident, I always use shortcut called SPR. SPR cannot buy, cannot apply HDB directly from HDB. You can buy from open market, provided conditions that you have to meet. You must be already a SPR for at least 3 years. Then you must have a family nucleus. That means you and your spouse, okay, both must be 3 years and above. Then you can buy from open market. So SPR cannot apply directly from HDB. But if you married a Singaporean, yes, you can apply BTO flat. We call it HDB flat directly from HDB.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any question?
Jasmine, this is Leslie. I would like to ask a question. Now, assuming I sell my private property now,
okay,
I will not be able to say even buy a HDB off the resale market. Is that right?
Okay, first you are Singaporean, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, just now I mentioned there are 2 scenarios that you can actually avoid the 30 months. So if you have a private property, okay, you cannot apply a normal BTO flat because you cannot own private property unless you dispose of your private property. You must wait for 30 months.
Precisely.
Then you can. But for example, if you sell your private property, you downgrade to the community care apartment or BTO 2-room. Yes, you don't need to wait 30 months. You can apply.
But assuming I'm not looking at those kind of flats, I'm looking, say, at a 5-room or even an executive kind of flat, then I have to wait for the 30 months, right?
Yes, you have to wait for 30 months. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you buy from resale flat, resale market, you can.
I can?
Yes, you can. If you dispose of your private property,
yes,
you can buy from open market. Yes, you can.
Without the wait.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Because applying from the HDB is more open to affordable housing, priority given to the citizen. So if you own a private property, the government, you feel that you are rich enough to find your own private property. Yeah. Or
So
buy
is
from
this
resale market.
considered a downgrade or is this not considered a downgrade? In other words, I'm not eligible for any kind of grants at all.
Okay, it depends. Let's say if you dispose of your private property, let's say you can wait 30 months, you find someone that you can stay. If you're still first timer, you're still eligible for the grant.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never ever bought a HDB flat. So
yeah. So because in HDB, there are quite a lot of grant. They call it family grant. They have the proximity grant. Take, for example, proximity grant, let's say even though, for example, you stay in a landed property. Let's say you have a children that they just got married, they buy a BTO flat. But if you want to buy from open market, stay near your children within 4 kilometers, you still enjoy a proximity grant from the government, yes. Okay.
But let's assume I'm not doing that. I'm just purely interested in just downgrading to HDB and just buying a regular 5-room flat just to stay with myself, by myself and my son. And then there are really only maybe, there won't be any proximity grant for sure. So what are the other grants? I forgot. You said something about a first timer kind of grant.
Yes, but if yours is a first timer, you still can apply for family grant. For example, if you're a first timer, you apply, for example, with your son. Yes. Then the HDB will take a look. Okay, this person first timer have already sold the property 30 months already. You're eligible to directly buy, for example, buy directly from BTO. Then you will enjoy, they call it a family grant. So also depends on your income. So it is like up to 80,000. Of course, you can go to HDB website to see the higher the income you are. They always talk about household income. The higher you have, the less grant they give you.
But I'm retired, so.
So depends. Let's say, for example, if you are retired, so if you have no income, then you probably have reduced to no grant. Take, for example, I have a friend who's a singer. He used to earn, he worked in a bank, he used to earn like 10,000-12,000 every month.
Right.
But later, he would want to apply for a 2-room flexi because still single. He applied to, he actually, after he resigned for a year, he stayed with the family. Then later he decided to buy his own HDB flat using a single scheme. He didn't enjoy any grant because he don't have any income. So sad, right? So he missed, because grant is only one time, so he missed it. So you must also show that you have income. Too much you also don't get, too less you also don't, no income also don't get.
Oh, what kind of criteria is this?
Yeah, they have many computation. That's why HDB is very complex. They have a lot of schemes. So the government will give you money, but you must know what is your right to get them. And you miss it, that's it already.
Yeah, which is kind of strange, right?
Yes,
if a person has no income, wouldn't that be something that really calls for the grant, right? Rather than the ones who are still working, who can well afford it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's why sometimes the HDB website always asks you give feedback. So they, based on feedback, they also design the policy. They design the flat type based on the citizen, what you really need. Yeah, I give you an example. A very complicated computation. I have niece, Singaporean, 30, married non-Singapore spouse. The person is a non-Singapore spouse. She's Singaporean, first timer. So I ask you a question: Can this couple apply HDB flat from the HDB? Do you think can or cannot?
I would assume should be, right? Because the wife is Singaporean, right?
Yes, at least one Singaporean you can buy. Okay, the answer is correct. You can buy. Now the next question is: Can she buy 3-room flat?
Depends on her salary, I guess.
Wrong. Regardless of her salary, she have there's a policy in HDB. Singaporean non-citizen spouse, you can only buy up to 2-room flat. Yes, 2-room flat. That's why my niece is very frustrated. Because she need a bigger house, work from home.
I can understand that.
Yeah, because the spouse is the non-Singapore citizen and haven't get the PR, so she can only confine to buying 2 rooms. So very frustrated. Even the income is high, cannot buy 3-room flat. So they resorted to apply rent from outside, rent for a condo, wait until he get PR, then apply BTO. Yeah. So
I would think that in this case, in my case, since I'm not getting any grant at all, and given that HDB is only like what 60 something years or something, right?
Yeah, correct.
So it wouldn't make sense. I would rather go buy myself condo.
That's true.
Which would still increase in value, compared to say a HDB.
Yeah, it's true.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any question? If not, I can give you some real scenario cases, complicated cases. Like for example, combination of Singaporean divorce. How? Have you ever thought of that? Because to be honest, in my 50s, I meet friends that is divorced. They always come to me, hey, how I'm divorced. We need to sell our matrimonial flat and I'm going to leave without a home. What to do? Many years ago, when a couple divorced, the policy, HDB policy have this rule. If a divorced couple, only one couple, if you have children, only one couple can combine with one of the kids or any kids to directly apply for HDB flat, provided you have not used up your 2 time, you can apply. The other spouse cannot, have to wait 3 years. So what happened? A lot of people are very frustrated. So this is what happened to my friend. The divorced couple had 2 kids, and then one had to wait for 3 years before he can buy a HDB flat from the HDB. So then I looked through all the criteria. Then I say, don't worry. The policy says that if the other couple cannot apply unless they wait 3 years, but the policy will be waived. This rule will be waived if you have a new spouse. That means you quickly get married. But of course, we don't like this. How can you just anyhow grab one and marry? So this will be waived, but it happens that you already have someone you're part-toying, then you're going to get married. The 3-year rule is waived. The other rule is waived if you have a mother, old folks, that you can combine with to apply for a house. This 3-year rule also waived. So back then, I have this particular friend, divorced. The husband, which I also know, how, because my wife have really taken the chance. I say, do you have a mother? If your mother and have not met her second chance, you quickly apply with your mother. So that's what he did. He applied, and then ended up these 2 families that split, they each own 3-room flat. So it's good for the children because in future, let's say anyone come off, this family split, they have 2 HDB. Yeah. So why do you think HDB actually have this rule of 3 years, 3 years? Because in the past, there are really people try to beat the rule. They call it 假离婚, fake divorce, purposely divorce to get houses like that. That's why they come with a 3-year rule. So, but if genuine cases like this, yeah, they say you can combine. So recent years, there are people feedback, wow, like that. I'm already a divorce. I still have to go through all this stress. So recently, under the Minister of Lawrence Wong, they have come up with new rule. No need already. So let's say if the divorce, you have 2 children, okay, you each go and apply your own house. You can. So that's why they come up with they always take feedback from people like us. So if there's certain thing you're not happy, I always encourage my colleague or my friend, feedback. Please tell them what you're not happy with. Yeah. Okay. So this is
good idea. I would like to do that, I think. Never ever talk about it, right?
Yeah, correct.
And basically, I mean, all my life, just like all my life, I've been paying huge amount of income tax. Of course, where I live, obviously, I don't live in HDB, so a lot of all these other things, all kinds of special privileges, I don't get either. But well, let's put it this way: count your blessings, right?
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
true,
get
that's
it,
true.
you just know that you're fine,
Yeah. Okay. So some other thing that you probably need to take note is when we are reaching 55, take note of your basic minimum sum, full retirement sum, because at the age of 55, the government will straight away lock up your amount. They will create a RA account called retirement account and then lock up all your money. Now, last year onwards, I have a friend very lucky. He actually sold the jumbo flat many years ago, but only get his 2-room flexi last year, February. Now, because the money is being locked up, right? So last year, he was lucky enough because before they actually implement the new policy, he's able to use his RA, meet they call it half the full retirement sum. He used his minimum sum to buy the next policy. But from 2020 July onwards, cannot anymore. The moment your money is being locked up at the age of 55, you cannot touch your RA to buy your next property. So from July 2020 onwards, if you want to use your money RA, you need to appeal to HDB. All cases need to appeal already. So just take note on that. So before you want to sell your big flat to downgrade to smaller flat, you make sure you see the officer, make sure all this can be done. Otherwise, you were asked to pay in full using cash. So need to appeal from July 2020 onwards. Okay. Any question from your side? And okay, another thing that I would want to advise, if you have children, all of us are in our 50s, 60s, we have children. Like for example, my elder daughter applying BTO, sometimes because they graduate, they can afford to buy condo and all this. As a Singaporean, I always tell them, I prefer you to taste of how is it like living in the HDB flat and enjoy all the grant. After all, you deserve it. So if you have children or grandchildren, advise them to buy HDB first before they have money to buy condo. You know why? Now, there is a difference. If you own private property first and they buy HDB, you know you have to wait 30 months. But if you own BTO, own HDB flat first, the difference is a lot. Take for example, my daughter, if let's say she want to buy a BTO flat, she buy, and then later, after 5 years, if she have money, she can actually buy condo and then rent out the BTO flat, because after 5 years, right, you can rent out the whole flat, pay for your property, private property, and use it as a financial instrument to buy your private property. You can't do it the other way around. If you own your private property, remember, you need to wait for 30 months. Yeah, not only that, the moment, for example, if you buy HDB, you buy private property first, the moment the government see that you have ever bought a private property before, when after 30 months you buy a BTO flat, they charge you a premium of at least like 30,000 because you own a private apartment first. So that's why I always say
I find that very weird, you know. Or everything is a kind of penalizing the private homeowner.
Correct.
I totally don't get it, you know.
Because HDB flat from the start since 1965 or 1960s, it is more for affordable housing for citizens. So if you think that they think that you're rich enough, then give way to those people who need the HDB first.
But in actual fact, a lot of the HDB dwellers are probably much more richer than the ones in the private apartments.
True.
I've seen like really beautiful cars in the car park, right?
True. Yeah. So that's why I always give advice to my junior, my children, or whoever they want to buy.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I say it's good to be the other way around, because like it or not, if you have a chance to buy HDB flat, ROI is very good because it's heavily subsidized. Even though how much it grow, it's heavily subsidized. So if you can make use of your HDB flat to buy the second property as an investment, why not? You can do this way. After 5 years, you buy a condo. You have a choice to stay in HDB, rent out the condo, or you can stay in a condo and rent out your HDB. Either way, you can. I
always thought you can't rent out the entire HDB.
You can. 5 years. 5 years MOP. You can. Yeah.
Jasmine. Jasmine. This 5 years, is it a new ruling?
No,
because my kids years back they bought the HDB. Then after that I think after 1 or 2 years or 3 years, they go and get a private one. So I don't know whether is it a new ruling or that.
No,
it's only
ago.
The executive condo you have to wait for 5 years.
Oh no. Executive condo wait for 5 years to sell to Singaporean.
Singaporean, yes.
Correct.
But then for HDB, if you buy a HDB and after I think a few months, you can go and buy a condo or private property, landed property also.
Cannot
now. Last time unless I remember wrongly or the timing is not, because 10-15 years ago they
no, this rule had been very long.
Very long.
Yeah, very long ago.
It's already like that. 5 years. I think it's maybe that you must pay up or then you can buy or something. I cannot. But I did not go and.
I understand. If under circumstances, if you're forced to sell, you need to sell. If you stay less than 5 years, HDB will charge you the seller's stamp duty, because by right, you stay 5 years, you can sell. You don't need to pay extra stamp duty. most of the people will stay 5 years. But if you no choice to sell before 5 years, HDB can charge you stamp duty for not meeting the MOP.
The 5 years.
But 5 years is it has been there for many years for HDB. Yeah. So
well, of course,
also,
my question is that owning the HDB before 5 years, they go and buy a landed property.
Before 5 years, you mean before they own HDB, they buy a landed property?
No. They own the buy HDB first.
They buy HDB.
Got the proximity grant, got the first time grant, and then after that,
5 years.
After that, no need 5 years. They can go and buy.
Okay.
They go buy private property.
Okay.
But now cannot lah. Now cannot lah.
All the while cannot, to what I know. Whether resale, as long as you touch HDB, you need to stay minimum 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can, let's say if you want to rent, for example, you stay in jumbo flat, not yet 5 years, you can rent partial. Maybe you have 2 rooms to rent out. That one you don't need to meet 5 years MOP. You can rent out room.
But that one I think is so flexible.
Yeah.
Because like my daughter, they bought the those are Bukit Gombak there, the house. Then after that, after buying, they never stay. They come and stay with me after getting married.
Oh, okay.
So of course, the time starting the time you have to lock up one room. You have lock up one room and then rent
they rent out
the other room. But then
actually illegal.
Actually no lah, not illegal. What? Yeah lah, you cannot lock up lah. You assume that you're staying there.
Yes.
But then subsequently, I appeal. And then they allow lah. So of course, HDB got a lot of other rulings that you must pay up first before you can rent up the whole room or something like that. A lot of complication. But then if you appeal, normally they will accede to your request lah. Reasons like because you are staying with the mother, parents to look after your baby or something like that lah.
Yeah, you have to appeal. Yeah.
So
everything if it is outside the norm, then you need to appeal. Okay. Any more questions or anything that you want to know? Yeah, actually HDB is a very complex.
Very complex.
It's very complex. Yeah, you ask me as a property agent, I prefer to deal with private than HDB, because it's a must. When you take the exam, one of the sure module is HDB because 90% of Singaporeans stay in HDB. So no choice, I have to know the basic thing. Yeah, but so many years they've changed. But like last time, single cannot buy HDB. But I think in 2015 they relaxed the rule because single complain. So the government said, okay, I hear you. Single now can buy HDB, but 35 and above. Yeah. Then slowly they also come out like recently. They also realized that a group of people that require housing, but it's not taken care of. Like, for example, single parent, that means unmarried parents, they have relaxed the rule. Unmarried parents can actually buy HDB up to 3-room flat only. That means, for example, someone may be pregnant, but the husband is not there. That means the illegitimate child. So in the past, not allowed, but now they have relaxed the rule. If you have illegitimate child, single parent allowed to buy HDB up to 3-room flat in a non-matured estate. So a lot of policy change here and there. People feedback, they hear, then they change. Then they change accordingly to fit to different family.
In fact, they are all very, very flexible. In fact, they're so flexible until sometimes, like for example, my daughter's family staying with me. Then I feel that if you approve me, or rather to lock out a room or that and not renting out the whole house is a big waste and then a loss of income. So I went to see them, chit chat, all that. Then finally they said, okay lah, for your case, I approve. I said, approve, you must give me a letter, a letter to say that you approve.
Red and white.
I cannot give you a letter. It is against the rule. But then you can approve. They say, I'm over in charge. As long as you don't go and disturb your neighbor don't complain, should be okay. Then if any complaint, very quickly I will tell you, and then you don't break the rule, you move back or something like that. So they're so flexible, and to this extent, they even tell me there's no department in HDB that handle these type of cases of having a flat and then moving to the parents' place and then renting out the whole flats. Although they do check, but then they also seldom check. They don't have a department to check. But only when there's a complaint from the neighbor.
Yeah.
Then they have an ad hoc committee or somebody to go and check and then fault you on that. So I tell you, in Singapore, sometimes any problem, you just see them, pester them, reason with them.
Yeah, or cry in front of them.
especially you go to MP. Especially you go to MP, and then they were actually quite accommodating, I think, Singapore government.
Yeah, true.
But it's unfair to those people who are the quiet type, who just listen, follow. They say cannot means cannot.
Yeah, true. But you probably need to sit down and see what is your needs before you plan your next move. Yeah, like for me, for example, now from a big jumbo, I stay in Woodland for 19 years. I moved down to 4-room flat now. So maybe I can plan what is my next move. How do I monetize my house? Yeah. So if I got money, instead of go to list buyback, if I got money, I rather buy a small condo and then rent out my HDB. Then I stay in condo or the other way around. Yeah. So many ways you got to plan. Yeah. But HDB is really a good way to earn money. To actually for your good golden years. I give you an example. Usually, like for example, I have a couple. They are Malaysian. They want to migrate to. They have the intention to migrate to Australia. When the children is young, so that is easier education. So this Malaysian who already stay in Singapore, like as a Singapore PR for the past 10 years. So they've been working here. One day, they were given a letter from the government inviting them to be a citizen, but they are in the process of thinking migrating to Australia. So what to do? They already, both of them buy a 4-room flat in Singapore at Bedok. So he was asking me, so how should I accept or don't accept? So I say, one question I have to ask depends on your situation now. You are saying you are Malaysian. How much you treasure your citizenship in Malaysia? And if your answer to me is you don't care anymore, most of your friend, relative already in Singapore, I will quickly accept the citizenship before I migrate to Australia. You know why? If you do not accept, I told him the scenario, if you don't accept the citizenship, Singapore citizenship, then what will happen? Now, you are Singapore PR, you bought the house. After that, you migrate to Australia. Now, Singapore will look at you whether you contribute to the economy. So you are not in Singapore so many years, you move to Australia. Singapore's government have the right not to renew your PR. So if you don't want to accept the citizenship before you go, you don't want to you go over, they see that this couple is not in Singapore so long. So they will tell you we're going to remove your PR-ship. Now, what will happen? You have your 4-room flat in Bedok area. So your PR-ship is removed. The next thing you'll receive another letter from the government or HDB. You are no longer a Singapore PR. Therefore, you have no right to keep HDB flat. Because remember, if you are not Singapore PR or you can't have a HDB flat, you're forced to sell your HDB flat. So I say, but if you have accepted the Singapore citizenship, you are a citizen here, you move to Australia as a PR there, you can keep your house as long as you want. They won't ask you to sell. So true enough, he took my advice. He and the wife moved to Australia when the children still young, settled there. and then work, and when they buy house, they use the renter to pay whatever they have. I say one good thing, in case your family do not want to stay in Australia, maybe racist or what, you come back to Singapore, you still have a roof above you. Unless you want to apply citizenship in Australia, if to you want to be a PR, then why not keep Singapore citizenship? Because you can rent it out for good income. Because as a Singapore PR, you also must know your right. If you are Singapore PR, even though you stay there in Australia for maybe for 2 years to try out whether you like, now Singapore PR not allowed to rent out your whole house, even you meet MOP, not allowed. You can buy house to stay only, not allowed to rent out. So I say you weigh all the scenario. I always tell people, take a A4 size paper, draw into half, put down the pro and cons. Then if the pro is more than the con, then go ahead and do whatever you want. Yeah, so these are all the consideration you have to think about. Okay, so it's 10 plus already. Laura, Terence, you want to end, right? Or you want to continue? You're muted. Muted.
Actually, Jasmine, that one couple they should have just one person take the citizenship, and then one PR.
Difficult also.
We take another 1 or 2 minutes and then we close the event.
Yeah, okay. So you have any question? If not, then you still can text me. If you have any question that you want to know, you can text me privately. Okay.
Jasmine is available every Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
Okay. If not, we will close the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Dear Jasmine, you
Yes.
have been very great in supplying all this information. I didn't
Yes,
know.
you're so
Very well.
you're so well informed. You're so well informed.
I will definitely have to ask you about something.
Okay, sure. Thanks a
Mm.
lot and have a beautiful weekend, everyone.
Yeah,
Okay,
Bye.
Bye-bye.